Cage, episode 7, Manifest. Really loved this episode. We got a pretty interesting backstory. We got a crazy double twist ending as far as I'm concerned. And it was just insane. Like, going through, the backstory, I just really enjoyed that. I was like, this is actually entertaining. We got to see Mama Maple and, basically the first scene she was in, it was like, alright, so Cottonmouth, even when he was younger, he used to play the piano, and he was kind of a prodigy. He just, he saw the music in his head, boom, he could just play it. And he really could have been something else. That's not something that they really talked about much in the other episodes. It was just, he's a sophisticated villain, he plays the piano and stuff. And in this episode, we get to see the moments, like those defining moments of his transition, like those last, those couple of days where it was like, this is it, like this is where he became the criminal Cottonmouth. He was just a part of the family at first, but then Mama Mabel pushed him into being, the villain. And I love the way it all played out. Like, we see her, we see their uncle as well. And so we have Mariah, she's studying and everything, and Cottonmouth is, he's just playing on the piano. And Mama Mabel doesn't really appreciate his talent as far as being able to play the piano or being able to do something outside of, the family business, so to speak. And his uncle is the one that really does support him. And when the guy comes in, it's like, oh, we get to see young Pop again. And he gives her, like, the watch and some money and stuff, and, he takes off, and she keeps the other guy. And he's like, the crack game is blowing up and stuff, and you old folks, you're losing out on money. And she just chopped this dude's hand off with one of the little garden shear, just snips his finger clean off. And I was like, wow, she wasted no time. She just held him down, clipped it right off, and that was all there was to it. And, she constantly kept Mariah out of it. It was kind of like the typical sort of thing where it's like the girl isn't the one who's meant to do the violent stuff, so she sends her upstairs. And it's like, no, Cottonmouth, you stay here, or, Cornell. So you stay here, and, you kind of help your uncle deal with this. And, his uncle's like, he's not ready for, this type of stuff, which I kind of get where he was coming from. It was like, even if you want him to learn, it was like, this is a leap. This isn't a step, because you already chopped this dude's finger off, and I'm pretty sure they killed that guy. So, he's like, he's not ready for this, but she kind of forced him into it. And then as things continue on, he goes to, we get to see that he actually went to an audition and stuff for him playing the piano. And he tells, Mama Mabel exactly what happened with his uncle and how he was talking to, someone outside of the family, and, setting up some things that that she didn't exactly appreciate. And he's trying to tell her, like, we could own this whole city, and she's, kind of set in her ways. And honestly, I thought she really overreacted. Like, I know the whole thing is like, their whole thing is like, family first and stuff, but I'm like, how is him trying to expand their reach bad for their family? Like, that was like the stupidest thing ever. Like, I know she mentioned, like, she doesn't sell drugs, so I'm assuming that's what the whole thing was. Like, him being in that new territory was them doing drugs, but it could have been something else. They don't really specify, but I would assume that it was drugs, because that's kind of how they kind of set it up with the first guy. Like, they do, drug running. So it was just interesting. It was like, man, I felt she overreacted, trying to kill this dude because he wanted to expand the family business and everything. And she felt that he betrayed them. So that's how she gets Cottonmouth to kill this dude. And the way they set it up, where they're outside, and then you can see Mariah in the background when she's in the window. It's like, oh, so she saw this happen. But then she comes downstairs, and that's when they throw out the fact that he raped her. And I was like, okay, I did not see that coming. She was like, you deserve this for what you did to us, and, for what you did to me. And he's like, come on, you were laughing and stuff. And I was like, wow, he's, like, playing both sides of the fence. Like, he's horrible to her, but he's, like, nice to his nephew. And of course, he ends up getting killed. And when they jump to the present, and all this crappy stuff is going down, of course, Cottonmouth, he got arrested, but he gets free, which I really didn't expect for him to just be like, oh, yep, I'm out. Beginning of the episode, we find out from Trip that he's, getting out of prison. So he gets let out. The chief, she gets fired just because one of her cops was dirty, as if she's supposed to know everything. Well, I guess two of her cops were dirty. So, just all this stuff, and I'm like, alright, well, that sucks for her. So she gets fired. We meet this woman, Priscilla, who clearly has a bit of a connection to our main cop. So they don't seem to like each other, and I don't know what Priscilla's deal is. They just don't. They must have some sort of history, and they just don't like each other. But we go through all this stuff, and Cottonmouth is trying to figure out, how do I get rid of Luke Cage? It's still where he's at, and Shades kind of is doing his own thing. Shades was walking around like a ninja. He might be in Daredevil next season because he was like one in the hand or something. He was just like, poof, I'm here in this scene now. So he sneaks into Mariah's house and talks to her, and he's like, Stokes used to be a powerful name, and it's kind of fallen by the wayside because your cousin is effing up. You're tied together. So if he f's up, you f up. So you have the ability to correct this, and I know that you have it within you to correct this and kind of make things right again. So just do that. Like, I know you have it in you. Then he vanishes, and that ending scene with the two of them, like they're in a crappy situation. It's like this happened, that happened. We gotta let this Luke Cage stuff go, and Cottonmouth won't do it. And then he's kind of reliving his past and stuff. Playing the piano. They show the gun that he used for his very first kill, and he's just reliving things. And when she comes in and they have that conversation, and he says, he says all this stuff like everything that happened, all of the talent that I had, everything I could have been. Instead, she chose to put you in school and put you, she sent you to that preppy boarding school, and she forced me to kind of work on the streets and stuff and be, the gangster. And she's like, she did that to get me away from our uncle. And he mentions, like, I saw you running around like half naked. I saw you flirting with him when we were younger, and she slaps him. And then he's like, you're running around half naked all the time. Like, you wanted that. And she flipped out, and I did not expect it to go the way that it did. Like, honestly, even when she hit him, I was like, oh, she hit him once, and he didn't even fall over. He was like dizzy and stuff, but I was like, okay, it didn't break over his head and like cut the back of his head open. He was a little dizzy, but then she kept hitting at him, and then he fell out the window. And even then it wasn't over, because I was like, holy crap, he just fell out this window. But he lived. And even then, she kept going. I was like, oh, okay, she's gonna flip out, because the face she made, I thought she was gonna be like, holy crap, I pushed him out the window. But she was still in the mindset of him saying, you wanted that to happen. He didn't rape you. You were asking, like, you were actually flirting with him because you wanted to sleep with this guy who's your uncle. And I thought, like I said, if he falls out the window, you knock a guy out the window. Normally, that shuts everything down. You're like, oops. But she was just yelling at him, I didn't want that. And then she goes down and just beats him to death with the mic stand. And I could not believe that they actually killed him off in this episode. That blew my freaking mind. I was like, holy crap. She killed Cottonmouth. He's officially dead. And then, like I said, Ninja Shades comes in, and he's like, well, look at you. Nobody is in the club whatsoever. And he's just like, well, look at you. And now their plan is to set up Luke, who also ends up being shot. I assume that was kind of what was happening in the background between, Shades kind of talking with her and showing up at the end of the episode. It was probably Diamondback saying like, all right, let's actually get rid of Luke Cage, because this dude is a thorn in our side. If he's a thorn in Cottonmouth's side, he's a thorn in our side as well. So we have that ending scene, and it actually worked. I didn't think that gun would even work on him, but I think the fact that it's alien metal might play a big role as to how it actually got through his skin. Because all it did, they shot him, and I thought it would actually drill through him, but it just shot straight through him like nothing. So I don't know, that really surprised me. I would assume it's not going to blow up, because that would kill him. Even with, clearly the bullet went through his skin, so he's not going to be impervious to that. So I assume it's not going to blow up, or I don't know, because, we saw the video, it took like a couple of seconds, and, it was probably like almost 5 seconds to charge up, and if I remember, you could hear it in the video that they played. So I don't know if he'll realize that and like just dig into his stomach or something and try to rip this thing out and toss it before it kills him. But I'm curious how that's supposed to play out, because it drills into you and then basically blows up on the inside. So I don't know, maybe they just have a button for that, maybe they're waiting or whatever. So he's wounded, and we have a dead Cottonmouth, which is going to be the basis for saying, hey, look what Luke Cage did. And who knows who will believe that and who won't believe it, but somebody's going to believe it, and that's going to be an issue for Luke. who decided in this episode that initially, he was gonna take off. Though he kind of went back to "I got to get out of here" sort of thing, and for a second, like, it was like for a split second he did, I think. But then, once it came down to it, it was like, no, I gotta stop Cottonmouth, and I want him to suffer. Like, because he even says, like, I could kill him, which, of course, came right after his actual death. And I was glad he didn't leave it there where it's like, I could kill him, and then, he takes off. But he was like, I could kill him, but I won't. I was like, I'm glad he specifically said that to her. It might not mean that much once she finds out that Cottonmouth is actually dead. But I was like, I'm still glad that he didn't leave it at, I could kill Cottonmouth, and then he walks off. I was like, I'm happy that he at least had that little extra to kind of help him out there, because that's going to be crazy. And I'm sure this new chief, Priscilla, she probably will go after Luke and kind of, want him dead, despite, that not really being a possibility. And also they kind of find out that he has no record. He has an ID, and that's it. No nothing. No Facebook, no email, as the guy said, no porn. But that was interesting. I'm like, okay, they're getting a lot closer to who he really is. They just don't know who he really is. So I don't know if that'll come up. Like I mentioned that before. I don't know. I don't think that'll come up this season, like him actually finding the other people. But they might find out that he's like Carl Lucas and stuff. They might find that out from Shades, because he is the one who knows. So he might end up just saying like, oh, yeah, this dude's name is Carl Lucas. He, this and that. But I don't know if that would bring too much attention to Diamondback. They did, he did mention that he wanted, Diamondback does want Luke Cage. They had some sort of plan for him. So I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe the plan was to shoot him and see what happens as an experiment. I really don't know. But I love the ending to this episode. I was very surprised. I couldn't believe that they killed Diamondback. I really thought, okay, he got out of prison. That was really fast. Wasn't expecting that in itself. But we're getting the history and stuff. We're getting to learn more about him. Learn a little bit extra about Mariah. Still only like a tiny bit, really. But we got to see more. We got to see these flashbacks and learn where his criminal side truly began. Like, he was, of course, a part of the family since he was born. But it started, in that moment when he had to kill his uncle. So we got to see all this really great stuff. And then he actually dies. And I was like, wow. So I don't know how this is going to play out. I don't know if the character Diamondback is going to come into play or what, because it's, like, I think, because I still don't know if it's 13 episodes, but I'm assuming it is. So, just over halfway through the season, and there's no more Cottonmouth, so I don't know where it's going, but I'm very excited, of course. I definitely want to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and, of course, gotta ask what you guys thought about Cottonmouth's death. I don't know if anyone saw it coming. I'm sure somebody did. It was like, oh, I figured he would die. I didn't think it would be this episode, and I certainly never would have guessed Mariah would, like, snap on him and be the one to kill him, especially after she already knocked him out a window, and she continued to be crazy and, like, kill him with a mic stand. I never would have seen that one coming. I figured he'll probably die at the end of the season, is kind of what I thought. He would die at the end of the season. I wasn't sure if Mariah would actually die or not. Like, she's currently in her whole thing where she's supposed to resign. So she probably will take over as the main villain. And I doubt she will go as Black Mariah, but she hates that nickname just like Cottonmouth hated the name Cottonmouth. So there's some part of that, I don't really know. But it should be exciting. It's going to be really crazy. And I'm sure the next episode will focus a lot more on Luke having actually been shot, through the stomach. So might not get too much on Mariah, but I'm sure it'll be there. But I'm excited for this next episode. Like I said, want to know exactly how you guys feel about Cottonmouth's death, whether you saw it coming, this early, whether you expected it to be the way that it was, which I figured he'd die, not this early, and certainly not like that. But I want to know how you guys feel about that, and of course, I want to know how you guys feel about the episode in general, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.